Hello everyone and welcome to State of the Realm, your when there's things to talk about, we talk about it Final Fantasy XIV podcast, and oh boy do we have some stuff to talk about. The obvious topic of the show, the live letter number 57, our patch 5.2 part 2 live letter, and man, I'm really tired, so it's just going to be Sly and I tonight, and I need it that way because I could talk for hours and hours on end about this, but I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Happy, and of course joining me is Sly, aka Greyfox. I don't have the energy for the rest of it, Sly. You get out easy this week. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good.
Hey, that's my line. That's my line. Yeah, sort of. Kind of a thing.
Hey.
Kind of a thing. Are you as tired as I am, Sly?
Not really. I mean, when I landed, I got home, went to sleep.
Me too.
Woke up at about like what, 3:30 this morning, even though the live letter was at 6. So
yeah, that sounds great. Early. That sounds great. I got in at 8:30. It took me half an hour to fall asleep, and then I barely slept for the 5 hours from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. So I'm tired.
Yeah. I can tell. I
want to die. It's okay though. Before we start talking about what is a very massive live letter, we of course got to thank our sponsors. We of course have our patrons who we'll be thanking a little bit more formally later on. And of course we have Steel Series, who's been doing giveaways for the show for months and months and months and months now. They've been awesome and they give away free stuff. So in the YouTube video, go to the description, enter the giveaway there. It's free. It's free stuff from Steel Series. Why would you not want to enter it? Just simple as that. So thank you, Steel Series, for the sponsors. And patrons, thank you. We'll give you a more formal thank you, but we got your name scrolling in the top right altogether. Sly, I've never been so excited to talk about a patch in a live letter. And I don't think I'll ever be as ecstatic again. I say that, and then 5.3 is going to blow my mind. This is my favorite trailer. This was my favorite live letter in a long time. I loved it.
It's got 5.3 has a lot to live up to, considering what we're getting in 5.2.
But it's a finale, so it can only take everything that happens in 5.2 and magnify it.
But we all know how finale is kind of like, you know, the lead up is good, and then we get to the finale, and it's kind of
No, I'd say Dragon Song War was and then ended really good. I'd say Stormblood was kind of the same. It was kind of and then ended really good. And I'm expecting this, which wasn't was good, and then better.
Again, a lot to live up to.
Yeah, I think it'll live up to it, because if this trailer, dude, I've watched this trailer a dozen times and I still don't know what's happening. Like, I can piece it together kind of, but
yeah.
I think we need to watch it one more time, real quick.
One more again. Yeah.
One more. Okay, so we're gonna mute our mics. We're gonna just play the trailer. I just want to watch it. We're watching it. Okay, that's bottom line. It's happening. So I'm muting my mic. Let's go. Let's go. We're doing it.
It was my hand that kindled these flames, and I cannot allow them to spread any further.
In such vessels did the ancients preserve concepts. Ideal forms to be drawn upon in the act of creation.
As the Exarch's research suggests, soul and mind share a fragile yet profound bond. Might it not be possible for an event to leave such a deep imprint upon the soul that it could be perceived eons later?
The light! It's too much for her to bear!
In which case, none of this is mere coincidence.
Only by the will of the star itself could such a miracle come to pass.
Unlike you, to err so gravely.
Can we watch it again? Just one more time? Real quick. Can we just, the whole show, we don't need to talk about it, really.
Just loop the trailer.
Just loop it, real. I think it'll be fine. Yeah. I don't think we need to talk about it at all. Oh. Where do I begin, Sly? Where do I start? Huh?
So, Ruby Weapon's a Gundam.
Yeah, I was immediately like, Evangelion kind of came to mind immediately upon seeing it.
It looks exactly like a Cubile from Gundam. It's just a red Cubile.
It's kind of interesting because, when we saw Arc Ultima in 5.1, it was like this Garland was like melded to it, and they just had some dude at like a control scheme behind it. Now they're like fully fledged like combat weapons, like finished combat weapons. So I wasn't expecting that. That was like way more anime than I think I was ready for. I mean, of all my expectations that I have, I should have very much been expecting that one, but I think we should probably start from the top with this live letter, because we can easily get lost. Because I'll start by saying it was refreshing as an English-speaking, someone who watched it who only speaks English, that the whole live letter was just the live letter. There was no Q&A section, which I always feel like with the language barrier, as much as I might be interested in what they're saying, it's just lost waiting for the text to come out for an unofficial or even an official translation.
Right. Yeah, this was pretty cut and dry in terms of just strictly information.
Well, there was about 30 minutes that we're going to be talking about here that I wouldn't say necessarily. I mean, there was certainly information, but its delivery was certainly not the average live letter. I'll say that much. So he started with the patch date being confirmed, February 18th. Oh, such a surprise. I didn't see it. How could I have predicted that 4 months ago? Then we had the trailer, which was always a great way to start a live letter. And if we have to talk about the trailer, we'll be here all day. But we had a really weird start to this live letter, Sly.
Daddy was mad.
Daddy Yoshi was mad. He called him Yoshi D. Don't call him that. It was for Dad, but that's not what anyone's gonna take that for on the internet. He's Yoshi P, the dad of light. He's the dad of light now.
Yeah.
Or dad of darkness. One of the two. So he started by hitting a hot button topic. It's sort of in third-party tools and mods of some kind.
We've had this discussion before, but it hasn't been this extreme. It wasn't at this extreme. It was just kind of in passing. We kind of mention it in passing because it comes up every now and then. And in regards to this, one of the things he was talking about was people using mods to take, lewd screenshots. And the thing is, like with third-party tools in this regard, we see a lot of creative things, and we see it, used in a positive light. Let me finish. We see it on the boards and in Reddit.
What we don't see is the thing that he's talking about.
We don't see this. We try to avoid it.
Yeah, if we try to avoid it at the very least.
Third-party tools have always been a don't ask, don't tell. And when you use it negatively, you pretty much drew the ire of Yoshi P and Square Enix. Like, so when it comes to these, it's always been, don't tell. Don't be a filthy fucking degen. Don't use it for lewd or negative things. And, Yoshi P always says, please refrain from using it. Please refrain. It's in the TOS. Don't use it. But it's not going to deter people. But if you are, which we know people will still do this, again, don't be a filthy fucking degen. I made this comparison. Using third-party tools in the negative way is like that one kid at school. We always had that one kid at school who, some of us didn't do our homework. And there's always got to be that one fucking kid. Hey, don't we have some homework to turn? Shut the fuck up. So, this is me telling you, stop being a filthy fucking degen. Shut the fuck up. You're ruining it for everybody. For the people who actually use it in a positive way. Shut the fuck up. We ain't got no homework. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, so this was so here's the thing. There's no doubt that this was to all the lewd modders. However,
shut the fuck up.
They specifically brought up, depending on the country, being against the law. That's in relation to the choice of which characters are being modded. And if you're doing that, everything Sly just said, I second to tenfold, because that shit's disgusting. And stop it. All right? Stop.
Get some help.
Yeah. We're not gonna say exactly what it is.
We ain't no snitch, but shut the fuck up. You snitching on yourself.
No, yeah, exactly. They did that.
You're being stupid. You're being fucking stupid if you're doing that.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's weird. it's weird, man. That was, people laughed a little bit at that section. Like they get it, they understand it. It's 100% normal people are like, I agree.
But it went on.
No, I'm saying like, further. Yeah. Oh, you're saying the next section. Yeah. He wasn't done. The next section was the one people were more like, okay, let's have a discussion around this one because it's not the other thing. And this was around third-party tools, specifically by name as mentioned ACT and its plugins. We, of course, know there are other third-party tools out there that no doubt fall under the same umbrella. And the game-breaking use of some of them. And he even went out of his way to name a few that I, in particular, am, kind of looking at and like, we kind of did that to ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. It's in this regard that, like, with each tool, he even mentioned Discord by name. He was like, well, this technically is a third-party tool, but it has no impact on the game. It doesn't alter the game in any way. And with third-party tools, you kind of have to break it down as far as what's really breaking the game. Like, a lot of people have, different opinions. A lot of, like, some similar. Like, we all know what's actually altering the game and what isn't. There are tools that don't really affect the game, but affect the experience of others, depending on how you use them.
That's ACT. That's pretty much ACT in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yep. And then there are tools that outright just mess with the game. One that he mentioned, he didn't mention it by name, but it's called Paisley Park.
Yes.
That's the one that he mentioned, and he took to actually the game. He displayed what was being done. And to kind of correct this, I still have my doubts about this.
Yeah, me too. You get it out, Sly.
So, he gave y'all Paisley Park in game. He gave it to you straight up. Like, you don't need Paisley Park anymore. It's in the game. The catch is...
Yeah, the crutch is a pretty big one.
the catch is you will no longer be able to set waymarks mid-battle. This is where I think it kind of crossed the line a little bit. He said people might say it's less efficient, but I don't think a game is fun if all it does is push for efficiency. In that regard.
Sly, I'm going to present... So here's the thing. This became really popular in Epic of Alexander. It instantly lets you place markers with presets exactly like the in-game one does.
Mm-hmm.
And people just use it in between phases to change the markers and their locations. I actually think of all the plugins we've ever seen that are game-breaking or interrupt the experience, this is something that actually should be in the game as the exact same function as the plugin.
I agree,
I'm of that
100%.
Opinion. But it should be in the game.
It should be in the game.
Because that's incredibly useful from a high-end raider's perspective. And now they have the technology they've made the technology to make the presets, but they're punishing specifically that application. Even though we now have the technical ability to do it in the game, they've just
when you look at it from a technical standpoint, it affects the game. It affects the coding.
Well, yeah, that does. But I'm saying now they have it in the game.
Now they have it in the game, but they're still punishing us. Yeah, they're still... And see, here's the thing. Even before Paisley Park was a thing,
yeah,
I knew people who mid-raid sacrificed DPS or whatever the fuck they were doing to stop and set waymarks manually. This was a thing.
Everyone who's ever set a dive bomb in turn 9 or the unending coil of Bahamut, you're a hero. Because I know most of you have been doing it manually. And that's, I was like 80 to 90% okay with the changes. And then I thought about that specific thing and I went, there are plenty of times people have manually gone out of their way to place markers based on locations of other mechanics.
Right.
And that's not a thing anymore. And that I don't like.
Yeah. I found like this was a pragmatic solution, a little bit draconian, but pragmatic. Yeah. Pragmatic, heavy-handed. Because it punishes the people who sacrificed their DPS and everything they were doing just to do that. I mean, you give us the solution, you give us the solution, you put it in the game, and at the same time you punish us. This is exactly like taking our words away in Feast.
Yes, I feel very much the same. It is very akin to that for me, because some people screw with it. I've now lost the functionality that I found quite valuable. Right. Even if it's in limited conditions, it still was no doubt a valuable thing. And like I said, it's the only plugin where I've looked at it and gone like, that should be in the game anyway. Right. Exactly as the plugin does, it should have just been a thing in the game. There's a reason why all the endgame raiders were using it, because it's a highly sought after feature. So I think they went the wrong route with disabling placing way markers in combat. Not to mention in 24-mans, people are going to put the markers down with a preset, and just before the pull, someone's going to get rid of them. And there's nothing you can do about it at that point. Or someone's going to fuck with them, right? But like something's going to go wrong, and they might have to walk this one back. We'll see, but they might have to walk this one back.
I agree. And we completely missed it in terms of other third-party stuff. Still, no parser in game.
Yeah,
outright just said it.
But this was confusing to me. I need the official digest, which we don't have yet. I really, really need the official digest, because unofficial translations, they're great. We're super grateful to the people who do them. But there's always something lost. Or some sort of message that isn't conveyed all the way through. This is every official digest I've read has changed my understanding of what the actual answers were. Or even unofficial translations that you then give them like a day or two to like go back and read over it. Anything like that isn't just spur of the moment listening and trying to repeat back is more valuable than the minute to minute translation. Because the unofficial translation specifically states that the gray area is still gray. Which means
I had that there.
They can't do anything and they won't do anything unless you make them do something.
Shut the fuck up.
So basically, like they even said, we're not going to ban you for having an overlay. We of course aren't going to try to like scan your client. That's against the law. So like we're just trying to communicate to you what is not allowed. But like
hide that shit.
I'd be more okay with them just outright no gray area. Just state exactly what you want, make it the rule, and stick to it consistently. I would prefer that. Even if it means no more ACT on screen, if it means no more of the other whatever, I don't care. I just want consistency. I don't want it to be case to case because everyone's got
and I think I think we've wanted that since the issue earlier, a few months back or a few weeks back. I think that's pretty much what we all want is just concrete rules. Don't do this. What is permitted, what is not permitted. Tell us. We'll adhere by it. We might not like it, but we'll fucking adhere by it.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is, like they said, they're not going to scan your PC. You can still use ACT. No one's stopping you from doing that. It would just halt the public use of it, and then of course all the other stuff then falls under that umbrella. And they've shown us in recent months they will take to using outside sources for punishment now. But it is again a case to case thing. It very much depends on the case. So I'm just saying I don't like gray areas. It's entirely plausible to set a flat rule for these kind of things. There might be some loopholes, and you cover those when you get to them. But you can 100% take a definitive stance on how you view not just how you view things, but how they will be treated should somebody be using them. Even if I don't agree with it, I would just prefer consistency. That's all I'm asking for. I did like, however, someone posted in my Discord a solution to our problem.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So let's say dive bombs, for example, Sly. You need 3 markers for those in Unending Coil of Bahamut. So here's what you do. You bring 3 summoners, and you make them all use the caster pet, and you put marks on them, and you move them based on where you need to go for the dive bomb. And then you just bring as many summoners and scholars as you need to do the mechanic, if it's like that bad. Okay.
Oh God. Is that the new Gigabrain strat there?
That's the new. Somebody posted that in my Discord. I think it was Hammer. He posted it in my Discord. I was like, that's brilliant. Annoyingly brilliant, as chat points out right now. So Summoner, you may be getting dot nerf potencies, but you are the marker of the raid team now. So be proud in your new role.
That's a consolation?
Yeah. You're the only way we can place markers in combat, unless they don't let you put the markers over your head, but I think they just mean the ground markers. Pretty sure they just mean ground markers. Although, there's plugins that just place markers over people's heads, too. That's the next thing to go. I would not be surprised. I've seen that shit in, like, Uwu streams. So I won't be surprised if that's the next thing to go. And then you need to place them on the pets in advance, which is fine.
God, we are too fucking creative. We are way too fucking creative.
Well, we'll see how this pans out. I've said all I can really say.
I'm in agreement with you. I think they kind of walked this back, given them the rough amount of time and given enough outrage.
They were. I remember when they were really dead set on greed only in 24 mans, and they walked that back. Yeah, it was a dark time, but wasn't for very long.
Yep.
All right.
Now on to actual 5.2 news.
And the first thing they showed us was new markers. New ground. They're like, listen, you can't place them in combat anymore, but you can do presets. One, you can have up to 5 total. You know, they're different. You know, you can set them for different fights.
We have a 4 now.
We have a 4 and we have 4 and well, we have 8 markers total now. Was the big thing. It's easy to change them, so they're like, oh, here's this great new feature, but no more placing them in combat. That was the first thing they showed us. I thought it was such a fun transition that they went into this dad lecture, and then it was like, but here's this new feature based on that lecture. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 A, B, C, D markers. Oh man. And they also said we're never adding an official parser. I still don't 100% agree with that stance. I still think they could fix a lot of ire by making a personal only one that only shows you yours. They have it in PvP. They're adding it to fishing. We've got literally F logs, fishing logs, coming up soon. So, I would still like a personal one in game. And PS4, that way PS4 players have one too.
But people won't be able to micromanage and check your fucking work.
I'm just saying, having the information for yourself is at the very minimal the good thing you can do. But I digress. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening.
We certainly will.
Now that was a very dark way to start the live letter after what was a great trailer.
I mean, all in all, I really like, and we still say this is one of the best live letters, and it just started awkward.
Yes, it started very awkwardly. But I will say that drums up a lot of discussion, and discussion is the thing we literally haven't had in the last, 6 weeks. So, even if people disagree, I like discussion, to say the least. Yeah. Then we got into the 5.2 stuff, a mix of going over old stuff, and then 2 hours of just new stuff. Essentially.
Now to start off with, he did, when he showed off the first slide, highlighting the new main scenario, he did say that cutscenes are going to be a bit longer. So if you plan on doing the MSQ first, don't plan on doing anything else that day.
Dude, I got to beat the raid ASAP then, because I need this in my life. After that trailer, I need all of this in my life right now.
Yeah.
I wonder how long that actually ends up being. Because I think it took 3 hours-ish for 5.1. This is probably 4 or 5, I'd presume.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Dude, I'm ready for it. I'm so ready. That spoiler cast. By the way, our spoiler cast for 5.0 is at 60K views on YouTube. Shout out to everyone who watched that. The 5.0 spoiler cast. That's one of the highest watched State of the Realms we've had. So I am super ready for the 5.2 spoiler cast, because that's got an erection thinking about it. Sorry.
Keep it in your pants.
It's staying there, just it's trying to escape. Anyway. Okay. So next we had Sorrow of Wurlet. That's the ruby weapon and all the follow-up quests. We have the new quest series for the upgradable equipment. They went into more detail on this later. A very satisfying amount of new detail, I might add. We have the Anamnesis Antidote Dungeon. Again, this is mostly reminders. And then we got to the new trial section. Now, they said they were done talking about that extra trial, but they gave us at least an expectation of what it was without telling us what it was. So we have Cinder Drift and Cinder Drift Extreme. Those are Ruby Weapon and Ruby Weapon Extreme. Right. So the first reveal about this secret trial is that it's in 5.25. which immediately eliminated it from the main scenario, which made things a little bit more interesting. The next thing they went on to say was they talk about it later when they talked about the relic weapon. The third interesting thing is they said it's going to be close to an extreme difficulty trial. Man, fuck off, extra dungeon. I'm good with this. I'm already fine with no extra. Fuck off. I don't need that shit. This is fine for me.
And based off what we thinking it is, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm very fine. I am very fine with their decision with this one. I have some concerns, but we'll talk about that when we get to talking about the relic a little bit later.
All right.
Eden's Verse and Eden's Verse Savage, they went over that a little bit more. Some job adjustments, you know, some PvE and PvP adjustments. Not much. They just said, you know, Red Mage a buff, Summoner a tiny nerf. Samurai's getting their stuff added to the job gauge, and they've got a few PvP balance adjustments. They said the job they're happiest with in PvP is Summoner, and that's kind of their like guideline for a balanced job. And they're trying to just get things as close to that balance in PvP as possible.
Dancer way too strong in PvP, obviously.
Yeah, I just haven't PvP'd. I really can't formulate an opinion. That's for those of you who don't know, Mog Talk host Frosty TV loves PvP. He's a far more reputable source on that information. Maybe we have him on to talk about these adjustments at some point. He's always a guest that tells us he shouldn't be on the show for some reason, and then invites us on his show, which is really weird for whatever reason. He's like, oh, I don't deserve to be here. You guys haven't had me on forever. I'm going to get banned from this show. It's like, you guys want to do a show on Saturday? We're just like, sure. Can we get banned from your show too? Does it work that way? Ishgardian Restoration update. Massive update to that. We did learn that update will be 3 weeks after 5.2.
5.2.
Interesting, because 5.21 is usually 2 weeks after, and this time it's 3 weeks after. Do we factor that into any predictions? Do you think that means 5.25 is going to be 7 weeks instead of 6 weeks, or it'll be 17 weeks for the next patch instead of 16 weeks?
I'm not looking that far.
I'm always looking that far in advance, man.
I mean, like, not in that regard. I'm just saying it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be that long of a wait for the 0.5 patch. I think at the very least 6 weeks.
Sly, I'm going to present to you two very problematic things with the schedule of Final Fantasy XIV right now.
Okay.
So I'm going to go to my calendar right now. So for anyone who doesn't know, you can usually calculate patch dates based on a very set formula that's been only deviated from a few times in history. It's usually 2 weeks for a 0.21, in this case 3 weeks, so there's a deviation already, and 6 weeks for a 0.25. It's usually 16 weeks for the entire patch cycle before the next major patch, and one time it's been 17 weeks. I believe it was 4.5 was 17 weeks. So let me count off the weeks for you. Let's assume 6 or 7 weeks until the relics 5.25. So it's February 18th the patch. So 1 week, February 25th, 2 weeks, March 3rd, 3 weeks, March 10th, 4 weeks, March 17th, 5 weeks, March 24th, 6 weeks, March 31st. One of the two projected dates. What comes out March 31st, Sly? Say it. Say it. What comes out March 31st?
P5R.
Persona 5 Royal comes out that day. That's fucked scenario number one. Now let's say it happens to be 7 weeks. April 7th. Now, do you want to begin to explain the myriad of issues with that? Or do you just want to go straight to the big kahuna of them?
Okay, well, let's see. Like, even 3 days after P5R, we have Resident Evil 3 Remake. And then within that window, hi, Remake.
Final Fantasy VII Remake would be 3 days later. Apparently something else comes out on the 7th. I don't remember what it is. No, it's not like as big a title, but it's still something a lot of people. I don't remember which one it is. Somebody told me earlier in my stream. But there's no Cyber 2077 is not for a while. I think it was something.
Yeah, they delayed it till autumn.
Yeah, it's something else. No, Animal Crossing is March 20th. Somebody said there was something else. Oh, Fallout 76 expansion. So nothing. Anyway, I feel like there's still something else on top of that. But yeah, it's not a great window of time. It's not a great window of time. Yeah. Expect your relic to either clash with 7 Remake or P5R. It's gonna clash. I mean, to be fair, it clashing with Final Fantasy VII Remake is, in my opinion, still clashing with P5R, because that game's gonna take you like a week and a half, 2 weeks, a month to fucking beat anyway.
And even still, like I said, I'm gonna have to take a break to kind of do 3 Remake and then get back to P5R. a merciless run and all that jazz.
Dude, I don't want to do it. I've got too many other games around that time. I'm not doing a merciless run. I'll watch my friend Martin do a merciless run, and I'll stick to just below that. I'm good. Neo 2. No, Neo 2 is March 13th.
13th.
Yeah, that's another one. There's Cold Steel 3 for PC on March 23rd. Trials of Mana is one. That's around that time. It's busy. It's busy. I'm not looking forward to it.
Thanks for telling me that how much of a life I'm not going to have happen. Thank you.
No, this is all
Doom
the
Eternal,
life
March 20th. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's the same day as Animal Crossing, though, so sorry, Doom Eternal. You take a backseat. I gotta go kick trees to find money. And pay off Tom Nook for my fucking house. Alright? I gotta do that instead. So, going back into the Ishgard, which is, again, in 5.21, that's when the ranking system will kick into place. They showed off later in the live letter the Kupo of Fortune scratch-offs, which... Sly, I don't know if you noticed anything about the rewards that they showed for Kupo of Fortune. But first place both times was a Paisa wearing Crafter AF1. It was a chef's hat and the weaver hat and the little vest. I think all the first place prizes will be Paisas wearing Crafter AF1.
Nah.
I feel we're 2 for 2 on examples. You know, we need at least a third one to get to set a precedent. But at the very least, there's 2 of them. There's also the eat bread emote, which I guess you just carry stale bread with you everywhere so you can nom on it whenever you want to. And then there's even some like old minions. There's materia. There's fireworks. There's a few things, and you earn that by helping with the reconstruction efforts. So that was pretty cool. Gathering in the diadem, we got to see our fire in my laser gatherer limit break, which just decimated enemies with 3 million damage instantly, and you get materials from it.
Yeah,
it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple gameplay loop. Gather, fire your laser, shoot the whoop. Walk away with stuff, help rebuild Ishgard, and you're good.
Rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. Very simple. Nothing too fancy. Some weather conditions, some rarer enemies occasionally for your rocket launcher. Yeah, stuff like that. I'm worried that if 2 people try to rocket launcher the same mob at the same time, they're both going to expend it, but only the first hit person is going to actually get it.
Right.
Little concerned about that.
I mean, that had to come up in development, though. I mean, if you thought about it, they 9 out of 10, they probably had to as well. Okay, all right, we'll see.
So I'd like to remind you that during the presentation today, the gathering nodes didn't work. So things can go wrong regardless of what is foreseen. Just
fair.
It's not always about who thought of it. It's about does it happen. And it could. I'll play that card. The expert difficulty recipes. They're even adding training materials to craft with expert rules, so you don't have to dump all your super rare materials into an expert craft. I really like this idea.
Yeah.
It's like a crafting training dummy, but with like supplies with a little bit of a gill sink involved. Only a tiny bit.
Right. I mean, I feel like this should have been added when, crafting was intimidating.
Well, I think that's what experts trying to do. I think it's trying to make these specific recipes intimidating again by making it so they're not like one-button macro style crafting decisions that you're making here. So I think that's why. I think that years ago, that if they had thought of it, if it had been a priority, they probably would have done this back then. But I like the idea. It sets a good precedent. It sets a good groundwork for people who are trying to get into crafting, which has really been their big focus in 5.x so far, is getting people into crafting and gathering, making it less intimidating or more diverse in the options you have, or how you go about leveling it or profiting off of it, which you don't.
Meanwhile, Ash and all the other godlike crafters are just like, stop it, god damn it, don't.
He killed my desynthesis market, man. I'm still mad.
Yeah.
The only thing I can desynthesize for money is like that new thing that you could get with the really high item level stuff. The latest patch that people are using. I don't remember what it's called. I got a few of them. I sold them. So my I'm doomed, man. This 200 mil is gonna have to last. I'm gonna have to do some maps because there's still you don't fuck me on maps, man. There's still some rare shit in there. Shell leathers are what it's all about. Yeah, the dissolvent, the sublime dissolvent. That was the one.
And even with all these changes, they're still fucking removing actions.
Yeah. They didn't go into any detail about that this time, though. Like, what's still being adjusted or changed. They just said, please look forward to it. So, I mean, I didn't really do anything with Ishgard the first time around. I'm still curious to see if this satiates the hardcore crafters. Because
you didn't build a barn?
No, Sly, I didn't build a barn. I was kind of fighting a giant killer robot when all this shit was going down.
Yeah, I know.
A jiggly water man and his hand.
Working.
Yeah, twerking all day. So, yeah, I didn't. Let's just say I wasn't high on the priority list, and it was done by the time I had the time to participate. And at that point, I would have just been gathering the stuff to grab the various items. I wouldn't have been actually part of the reconstruction effort. And I could just buy those items with Gil, and I'm stacked. So, what the fuck do I care? It's the truth of the matter. I don't need to do that shit. And then we got fishing. Interesting. It's not really like the Final Fantasy XI boat, even though that's the comparison I want to draw the most. So they're adding a notification if a fish bites. It seems that the intensity of the bite changes the intensity of the emote. Like, it's 1 exclamation mark for like a light tug and like 3 for a big tug. Giggity. And had to do it. That's nice. I mean, that's one of those accessibility things, and I'm always okay with accessibility.
Because a lot of people play with controller, and not everybody has the vibration function. So usually, if you have the vibration function, you can just fish and chill and fish and Netflix.
Yeah, it just kind of keeps making it more chill above anything else. It's a chill quality of life update.
I mean, it says that you won't have to pay close attention to your fishing rod, but you still kind of have to pay attention to at least what's biting.
Yeah.
You can't be 100% like just chill.
Now you can literally see the number of exclamation marks and kind of make an informed decision like quickly. And that's good. These are the kind of things I always kill for in these updates, even if it's not content I involve myself in. But I'm not going to lie, I probably level my fisher to 80 just to like consume the content.
See it?
Yeah, just to see it. I don't really care about the base fishing, but this thing they're doing with ocean fishing, I think this is probably one of the smartest things they've done gathering-wise. So it's basically the boat. Let me start by saying the Final Fantasy XI aspect of it I don't care for. The boat only comes every 2 hours. And then there's a 15-minute window where for every 24 people that queue in, it makes an instance of the boat, sends it, and then starts filling the next boat. That's going to cause server issues day one. I guarantee it. They're going to end up like limiting boats or something. I foresee an issue with that server-wise. That being said, I don't care for 2-hour waits. Even 11 doesn't do that with the boat. The boat it takes 15 minutes to go. It takes 15 minutes to come back. There's 2 boats running. So this better be justifiable by the time I see it in game. Maybe it's just so you can go do other things in between. I don't know. But if you just want to fish all day, you're just going to fish all day anyway. Just let people do it on a boat. That's how I feel about it.
I wonder if they'll add a notification or timer.
You set an alarm, the in-game alarm. Just set that, I guess. We have the technology.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, they said there's 3 fishing spots per ride. You have 7 minutes per spot plus a cutscene in between. Even though the instance has an hour tied to it for some reason.
And you can't skip the cutscenes.
Can't skip the cutscene because it's tied to everyone. It's the timer that sets the mood. It goes between the actual fishing nodes and areas. You'll be able to go through a few areas like Costa del Sol, Pharaoh Sirius, the Dravanian hinterlands up by Idleshire, the ocean that's between hinterlands and Sharlin, basically. And while you're there, everyone's trying to contribute to an overall haul. And at the end, it'll even let you know who was like the highest contributor. And so you can do these little like competitions within the boats. You can like queue in as a full 24-man with your friends and do like FC fishing jamboree kind of things. And I like that. See, even regardless of rewards, having the ability to do things like that, and that's most people's immediate, I guess, kind of reaction to it, is, for me, in an MMO, is always a good idea to have events like this, to encourage events like this.
Do you think they'll add an event in a official capacity, like an official competition?
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. This is the kind of thing where you could absolutely do that. And to have that groundwork set is important. We don't have a lot of those things in Final Fantasy XIV. That's why Baldesion Arsenal, amongst the people who did it, was such a big deal, because it was one of the only things we could actually pull the FC together and do as a team, instead of breaking off into little cliques and, you know, consuming content as these smaller groups. Even just having this as a fun little option for a free company event, among other things that you can do in the game, it's like openly encouraged here. And I like that. It's an MMO, it's having more social features is, to me, is just never a bad thing. So I heavily approve, other than the 2-hour thing, of the ocean fishing stuff that they're doing. And they said they're going to add more stuff to it in the future. They're going to add like NPCs, like pirates attacking the ship, but instead of like actually attacking it, you got to outfish them.
You get into a fish off.
Yeah, you get into a fish off. It'd be really funny if you could like get into an instance with another ship and fish off against the other players on the other ship.
That'd be another competitive one. I'd like that.
Yeah. I think it's fun. I think it's fun, and I think it's funny. Like that this is a precedent that they've set.
Catching the fishing bug. I'm proud of you.
I'm not even catching the fishing bug, but this isn't a very MMO-esque thing that you can still technically enjoy. Like, if you're the only person on the boat and you enjoy it, you can still do it. If it's like completely dead at any point. But it's also, I just like it when they encourage MMO interactions. And this is, as much as I didn't like Eureka, and as much as I always talk about how much I don't like classic Final Fantasy XI from a gameplay perspective, from a social aspect, there's a lot of positives. And this kind of takes that approach. And I approve of that. So, gets a clap.
Thumbs up.
There you go.
Clap.
Yeah, it gets a nice loud clap right into the microphone. And now I even made this ear ring for myself. So that was dumb. Good job, me.
Thanks. Yeah.
A few other things that they added that they went over. Alliance raids are going to be in New Game Plus now, which makes sense. Nier has already given us a choice in that. Right. That won't be there yet because we haven't completed it, but we pretty much figured that we can eventually go back and choose the other path. For example,
free company rank will be increased
to 30.
30.
Isn't it like 8 or something now, or 9? I don't know.
I never paid attention to
it's much lower than the new cap. And apparently the new cap is it increases company chest space.
Right.
I wonder by how much, because there's a lot of open space in the company chests like menu for extra tabs that you just can't use yet. So I hope it's like a good amount for the company chest, because that would be dope. And then they got into
the Cinder Drift.
Yeah, that was when I was like, we're done talking about the stuff we already told you about. Now let's at least show you or talk more about some of the things we revealed. And they started with the Cinder Drift with Ruby Weapon. And so apparently there were some accidental spoilers. But I haven't read them yet.
I wonder what the spoiler was.
The dialogue box on the screen was Final Fantasy VII's UI.
Final Fantasy VII.
And the NPCs were talking. What the NPCs were saying,
we don't know.
Well,
it hasn't been translated.
Someone's translated it. I just haven't looked.
Oh, okay.
But that's like the spoiler. They realized, they were like, oops. And so for like the rest of it, anytime they fought something, they had all the UI turned off. He just had to run blind.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to see the Final Fantasy XI text. I'm sorry, the Final Fantasy VII. We just got done talking about all the 11 stuff. Final Fantasy VII text box in there. Fight looks fun, even on normal mode. It's still, you gotta remember, it is just a trial, normal and extreme. I know he's Ruby Weapon, but like, come back down to Earth. He's going to get shit on in under an hour on Extreme, and then we're going to have that post like, Ruby Weapon was beaten too easy for such a reputable boss in Final Fantasy franchise.
How dare you shit on Final Fantasy VII? Shut up. Y'all are getting remake in the moment. Stop lying. Shut the fuck up. Fight Ruby Weapon and remake. God.
Well, that won't happen for it's going to way in the future. Oh, man. Yeah, this is it's just temper expectations. It's an extreme trial, right? Okay.
Yeah, and the story for the Cinder Drift is tied back to the story of Gaius, and it will continue in the upcoming 5.x patches.
Yeah, the only little tidbit we get of that kind of from the trailer was Gaius saying, "I'm the one who kindled this flame. You know, I should kind of do something about it." Not verbatim, by the way, paraphrasing, but yeah. So he feels kind of very, very responsible. It makes sense considering our experience with him in the Praetorium. They had all these experiments going on with like proto-ultimas and all that kind of stuff in there. So this is clearly the result of that research that he was running. And so it's all your fault, guys. Fix it. It's very weird to see him in the same room as Ralban. It's so weird to be presented that. Oh yeah, Gaius and Ralban and Alamigo, and I'm like, that's not a sight I would have expected 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Not at all. Okay. It is still exciting, though. And the music. Oh, it's an Ultima Weapon remix. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it so much.
Everybody was headbanging at the beginning of the trailer, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Question. They said the second half has some big surprises. Does it have a new theme? So my question is this the generic first phase music for all of the trials in the Sorrow of Orlit? And then the second half is the Ruby Weapon music?
Soken's always surprised us. He always man, don't get me dreaming. Don't get me dreaming about music.
I'm dreaming right now. Not to mention, the trailer had the Primals version of Insatiable, which up to this point was only in Dissidia Final Fantasy NT for the 4th anniversary. That's I believe, our first Primals arrangement of a Shadowbringers theme. The Insatiable Primals mix, which great theme to do it to. It makes me wonder if they'll even bother doing Innocence. Because the thing is Insatiable, the Innocence theme, and the Shadowbringers theme are all kind of like leitmotifs of the same idea.
I really wouldn't mind Innocence.
I just wonder, like, because the leitmotif, like, here's the thing: the songs are completely different, but like they share the having those shared vocals kind of. I just wonder how they sound when the Primals do it, because I'm not obviously I have no musical prowess.
You wonder.
So, well, I know how it's going to sound. I genuinely wonder. Because it's going to be weird if they just, like, imagine if they played all 3 of them back to back, hype as fuck, and then you just have to hear those, like, 4 bass lines and We Fall 7 times over and over again.
See, now I'm looking forward to the fucking concert at FanFest now. Don't get me hyped up for something like in November.
We got to talk about that later. Don't you worry about that. That's in this live letter, my friend. That's in this live letter. Either way, it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing what that second half is all about that they kind of teased to us.
Oh yeah.
Talked about job changes next. Again, there's not a whole lot. We kind of touched on it already. There's not a whole lot. Summoners are mad. That's what else can you say? It's not really too surprising. Wait for the patch notes. Probably the full patch notes, I'd imagine. I remember seeing a translation. It started being shared a couple days ago, but it's actually from last week, that said that they're probably not going to go too in depth about job adjustments outside of general statements like being buffed, being nerfed in the future, and that they may not appear in preliminaries either because people then start losing their minds about it. I'm curious about that. I'm curious if that ends up coming to fruition for a couple of reasons. One, because as much as people lose their minds, we love having something to discuss. And yes, we could talk about it after the fact, but sometimes it's fun to talk about it before the fact. When you make a general statement, people just kind of start guessing. They did actually go a little bit into detail on Red Mage, flesh is going to get buffed, and the damage fall from Contra 60, I think, is being reduced. Yeah, it's kind of simple, but I'm sure they're doing more than that, you know, more on top of that. But my thing, Sly.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You and I have been to a couple media tours at this point. I wonder if the potencies are just going to be, like, absent from everything.
But this is a couple patches in. We're talking about, like...
But this seems to be, like, a thing they're just going to be doing. Like, if they continue down this line of thinking, I wonder how that will eventually affect the information flow when the expansion is coming around. Because people lose... Oh, my God. If you want to talk about people losing their minds... Yeah. Let's talk like that's the biggest example is media tour information. So, I'm curious.
But I feel like there's so much time after... that information, after we released that information, that they had to adjust and, you know, quell the outrage. I feel like this is like with this, it's a much shorter time frame.
Yeah,
to even make it.
But you never know. You never know. I like to think of the possibilities. I'm just curious if it will have any impact on that. As someone who's, like, created content, you know, we've seen the outrage whenever we come back with information, no matter how many times we tell people this is an older patch, it's not the live server values.
Nothing is final.
It doesn't matter how many times we say it, people freak the fuck out. For me, that's the biggest example of exactly what they discussed in regards to potentially withholding numbers and details on specific potencies.
All right.
It's just people always freak out about it.
That's never going to change, though.
No, it won't. They can try, but people... Because here's the thing, if we don't get any numbers, then people start making up numbers in their head based on, like, cooldowns and other... And then it gets even worse. And then on top of that, even if we can't see the potencies, sometimes people see the damage outright, like, in the footage, and they're like, well, if I were to put that through my simulator for an encounter based on 100% uptime... in a vacuum, that would be complete shit.
Nerd!
I love the people who do that, because then I don't have to do it, but I also hate it at the same time. Thank you for that. I just watched the Simpsons movie on the plane, too, so it's fresh in my mind. Just that's fresh in my mind. I like it. Oh, man. We'll see.
Yeah, we're on.
The Qatari are up next. The Gatherer only Beast Tribe. And they didn't really say much. We found out we're getting a pot of screed, though, as the mount.
Pot of screed? Is that our meme name for it now? Because
it certainly is. It is 100%
pot of screed.
You will not convince me that is not the name of that mount. It's literally the Serpent of Ronka, the great Serpent of Ronka in a jar.
my one big takeaway from the Qatari is, and they said there will be a point where you, as the player, will have to choose what direction you want to go in. And, like, personally, I love when they implement, like, decisions that differ for every player in, like, certain aspects of the story. So, yeah, this is a good move. I like it. I feel like they should be doing this a lot more often.
So here's the thing, Sly. I agree.
Okay.
I agree. I like it when they do it. New Game Plus is a thing now, so even if you kind of want to know, at some point you'll get to know. Or give your friend to tell you. Up to this point, we haven't seen how the Nier decision affects anything at all, and I doubt it does at all. It hasn't really had a profound impact in the two places we've done this so far.
Fair.
Like, Eureka, when you beat Baldessian Arsenal, ends exactly the same. You're just choosing what order the events take place in. Nier, no matter what, you got to be disabled, or batteries run out, or 2P, I'm sorry.
So you really want to see consequences.
I want, especially with Nier going into the future ones, I want, anytime they do this, I want it to, like, mean something more than I agree or I don't agree, which is essentially what it's boiled down to.
Right.
I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad they're exploring it. But explore more. I'm encouraging it. Go further.
Right.
They have to do it.
And they said the rewards and XP will still be the same. What? Yeah. Would you be okay if the decision affected rewards?
I think they don't need to do that, though. I don't think they need to go down that road.
It seems like it.
I just don't want it to end the same. The problem is the decisions we've made so far, it ends exactly the same. Mm-hmm. I get that you maybe don't want an end of the world scenario, and like I'm not asking for like, you know, the guy who kills every guard in town in Oblivion versus the guy who, you know, follows the law kind of decisions, where, you know, one makes you the ultimate criminal and the other makes you a justice among the people.
Agreed.
But I just don't want them to end exactly the same regardless of which one you pick, which is what they've done so far.
Oh, believe me, I agree. I understand completely. Again, you're talking to someone who plays SMT. That's what I want in every fucking game, is decision. But there has to be some, like, small way to differentiate it. Whether it be rewards, I think that's one solution. I really think rewards should be a solution. Like, similar rewards, when I say similar, I mean, like, one shouldn't outweigh the other. It should be even, but at the same time, it should be different.
It's such, right now, the choice is so arbitrary, I don't care. I'm not going to care when I make my decision. I haven't had to care the first 2 times. I'm hoping the near rate eventually makes me care. I hope they take the fact that we have New Game Plus now. You can make the decisions lead to something different.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not like a huge gameplay adjustment, you can do it. You have the technology to let us revisit it. Go nuts. That's it. Go nuts.
That's it.
Yokotaro's probably going to go nuts.
Yeah.
That's like, we were like, we need the Alliance Raid one now. Do that one first. Okay, guys? He's going to fuck our shit up.
That's where you want to, that's where you want the station to come first.
That is priority numero. Get that shit working now. All right?
Okay.
We got job quests. We've got all these. We've got all the class quests. We've got some story quests that still don't work. No, get the fucking Alliance Raid shit working now. Okay? But we will learn more about Raktica, the Ronkins, the Kitari.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to it. I'll break out my Miner and my Botanist for the first time in God knows how long and earn my Pot of Screed. Next was my favorite part of the live letter, though, Sly. And not for the reasons you think. I just like to watch Yoshi P fuck up. I just like to watch Yoshi P do jump puzzles live and hate existence.
Again, I blame this solely on you.
I didn't make him miss that jump.
No, you didn't make him miss the jump, but you made him do this content. You made him implement this content.
Sly, a lot of people do Leap of Faith. A lot of I love going in and having just like, it's like ants trying to like get out of the nest, and I love it. It's amazing. Okay. We have our new courses in Leap of Faith, and they will be taking place in what looks to be the ruins of the floating city of Nim. You fall off, you go back to the beginning. Simple as that.
Yep.
I watched him miss with one of the simplest jumps, like, for 45 seconds straight.
Of course this motherfucker would think it's simple. Yeah.
Sly, he couldn't jump from a platform that was next to another platform, and then he missed jumping on the first platform that's just slightly above ground level a good 5 times in a row. All right?
Fucking call out Haps for being fucking elitist in his jumping puzzles. What the fuck, Haps?
Listen, I've done Kugane. I haven't done it again to do the lamppost jump, to be fair. I did it once, and I haven't gone back to do the lamppost jump. I did actually go back and try it, and then I got, like, almost to the top, and I was like, can I make it from here? And then I learned you can't. I had to go up that one last little bit to get there. And I love Leap of Faith. I love it.
I know you do.
I especially like that Ethos doesn't like that we're defacing national, like, landmarks. It's just to jump on them.
Just for a fucking jumping puzzle. Exactly.
He gets so mad. I love it. Well, I'll be like, Ethos, well, explain to me the lore of these ruins. Like, what do you think that building was based on its architecture? What do you think on it? So I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you. I was climbing up the ledge. This was great. This is some high quality content, right? This is alone worth losing a dungeon for. Like, forget the EX trial and 5 points. This was worth losing a dungeon for. Okay? Won't change my mind. I will get more. I will play that more than any dungeon you release in any patch.
You heard him. You heard him.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Next housing area, do another jump puzzle, like a real good one, not like the Shirogane one. The Shirogane one's kind of It's all right, Sly. You got fishing, I got jumping.
Okay.
Mine's better.
So next we got into Eden's verse.
Yes.
Now, before we go into what he shown in this section, in the trailer, we did see a fight with 2 primates.
Yes. We also saw my prediction of the Ramu Centaur, although it's a Terra Centaur. I've been informed the wings make it a Terra Centaur.
Didn't we make a prediction that somehow Ixion and him would kind of fuse?
That literally has been my prediction since we found out about Eden's verse having the Thunder Plains.
What drugs are we on when we think of this shit, dude?
We just put all the lightning people together. That's all we do. We just put them all together.
Garuda, Ifrit look, reasonably normal.
Garuda, literally, the Warrior of Light was like, I remember them thighs and all these wings, and then that's it. They were done, and it came out looking so much like the original that I'm like, you know that. I was like, Warrior of Light, you've remembered that one too well, okay?
Yeah.
You need to relax, okay?
You need to relax with some dank kush to make this shit more hard, really? No. Stop.
You need to
give up the hallucinogens. No. And yeah, even with that one, before we even go to Ramuxion or whatever we want to call him, we don't know the order.
Dude, I'm predicting
we assume.
I'm predicting.
We assume
it's trailer order.
We're assuming you are.
Yes, I'm predicting it's trailer order.
The first 2 fights are, original.
No. I think it's the fight they showed us with the Curl from Gears of War, Ramu second, and then Ifrit Garuda third, and they're keeping the 4th a secret, which could be an original boss, or my personal wish is it to be Shiva. But it could be either or. I'm leaving that prediction.
That's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking, because it makes no sense if Shiva, not Shiva, now you got me saying it. Garuda and Ifrit are the last fight. I don't think they would shoehorn Shiva in as the savage part.
No. You mean like the savage? No. So here's the thing: they only showed us 3 fights, and I don't think they're going to show us like 1, 3, and 4, or 2,
right.
3, and 4. They're going to show us 1, 2, and 3. But we don't know the order. It could be like Ramu, Krill. If I think no matter what, Ifrit Garuda being third is my prediction, and the fourth is either something very Final Fantasy VIII. Like an Adele, an Ultimecia, Griever, something like that. Or something that would be a massive spoiler, or it's Shiva. And because they wouldn't show us, I feel like Shiva might not be something they keep a secret. I feel like something very closely tied to Final Fantasy VIII. They would let that, they would be more, tight-lipped about that. So I don't think it'll be Shiva, but that's my personal wish. I still really think Shiva deserves to be the last boss of a Savage tier.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go there since, that this is what we do. After this tier, there aren't a lot of 2.0 primals left. We're not going to be fighting Moogle.
Unless we're fighting Bahamut and Odin, that is 1.
Yeah. We're not fighting Moogle.
Yeah, like I said, there's only those 3 and nothing else.
Yeah, right. So the next tier, possibly all original or 8 centered.
That's why I want Shiva to be the last boss here, because I think they could do a marvelous job with it. I think she deserves to be the last boss more than Titan does, way more than Titan does from our experiences with Assail and all the Heavensward events and the Dragon Song War. There's way more than he did, and it also would mean they can focus entirely on Gaia and her influence in the story.
Right.
Because the primals, they're really cool. I love the visuals. I love the music. It's great seeing these reimaginings, laughing about them, joking about them, and fighting them. But they're so central to the story, and yet they have nothing to do with the story. They're like, oh, we need to refill the empty with elements. How will we do it? This is how we will do it. But they're not the story at large, like the actual thing going on with the Oracle of Darkness and her involvement. So I just want them out of the way in this tier. And now there's hope, but we don't know for certain.
We don't know. But back to the content at hand, he showed off Ramuh. And like we said, it's Ramuxion. That's what I'm going to call him.
I like the Ramuxion. I saw Ixamu, and I was like, no, that doesn't work. Ixamu. It sounds like a cow. Yeah.
This is the stage is kind of similar to Titans, with a few exceptions. One being the sides. They're not all like equivalent. The squares are not all equivalent. It's just there are 6 longer like rectangles on each side, and then there are like smaller squares in the middle. You can fall off. We did see orbs. We kind of knew that was going to be a thing, but the question is how, because I tried to count the original number of orbs that appear first, and then like more orbs appear. So I'm like, fuck, I should have got a screenshot.
Well, it's worth remembering what the orbs did in normal. In normal, the orbs were 2 or 3 effects, depending on how you look at it. Effect number 1 is they increased Ramuh's damage for every orb on the field.
Right.
So you had to control the number, but you always wanted to make sure you had enough around to do mechanics, but not so many around that it killed you. Number 2 is by collecting 3 of them, you would gain lightning resistance, where that's the only way to survive the tank buster on extreme, and you also needed it to break the tethers in the later phases. And then effect number 3 is if you gathered too many of them, you got a healing reduction.
Yep.
So it could be similar and you need a different number of orbs, or it could be, it's most likely not exactly the same, but it's going to be derived of that in some way. I'm assuming the rectangles are going to play to the original, where if you stand in the water, you get electrocuted. I'm assuming those rectangles are going to fulfill that sort of endeavor. I don't know if the rain coming down is going to like fill up sections, and then those will, electrify if you're standing in there.
I could see that happening.
Or if it's just going to mark sections, like regardless of all that, it's not without the fancy SFX and graphics and all that stuff. But that's my prediction. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be the first or second fight, in my opinion. So I hope it's the second one, because I would like it to be Voidwalker-ish difficulty. We know it's gonna be a little harder. They always say that, but like it's minuscule. Like the difficulty difference is minuscule. It more depends on the fight design.
No bullet hell, please. No bullet hell, please. No.
Bullet hell? Toho?
No.
Toho? You don't want Toho?
I don't want Toho in my raid. No.
Well, too bad, because we're getting down to your raids in 0.3, so you get more Toho.
Right. Now, in regards to the tier that Yoshi P said, it will be definitely be more difficult than Eden's Gate.
I remember when they said the same thing about Sigmascape. Chatternook was the biggest laughing stock. Phantom Train was a big upgrade over Altroid. Chatternook was a laughing stock. Guardian was slow and boring. And Kefka, questionable.
Kefka.
Yeah, I kind of thought Kefka was boring also. I like bosses that move and auto attack a little bit more than stationary bosses, but Neo X-Death was such a marvel of a 12.5-minute encounter, and Kefka was like a 7-minute, snoozeville, followed by like 9 and like 10 minutes or so of, a few really interesting Forsaken patterns, and then repeating them a couple times over.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't argue that. I wouldn't say that it was that much harder. I wouldn't argue that it was easier, but I'd argue that the fight design determines that more than them telling us it's harder. It doesn't matter if it's scaled closer to item level or anything.
But you may also see some new type of mechanics that are not typically seen elsewhere. So some mechanics may make you go, oh, what the hell? What?
That's such a bold statement to say, because like, it's not that they can't do it, and it's not that they haven't done it. But when I've been playing MMOs for so many years, how much are you really going to surprise me? That's always my question. You can do it, and it's been done. I didn't expect the arena to like go up and down, and the Titan, you know, the different elevations and whatnot. But was it really? Did it really change my perspective from like an MMO standpoint? No, it was still an AoE goes here and an AoE goes here. It's just everything comes down to fundamentals. So I feel like this will be some things that are like really cool visually or like mess with the arena, but they're still fundamentally very familiar. You know, it's really hard to do anything that's not fundamentally familiar with raid encounters, but that doesn't mean they can't be fun. And I just hope they're fun.
True. I think they will be.
I hope so, because that trailer was too hype for it to not be. Oh man.
Now the next thing and we already talked about it in a bit more detail, ocean fishing. We kind of explained it and we kind of went over it. So
yeah, there's not much else to really say about that. I love the competitive nature of this. And they also were kind of smart. They made it so you can buy bait or repair gear on the boat itself.
That's a really good thing, because I forget.
Yeah, so that's a nice little thing. We got I don't see, like, we don't really need any more information about it. Like they covered everything. Right. Time, weather, you know, more fish you get, more points, HQ, different fish. It was great.
This might be in correlation to it, or it might not be, but hey, they did add like the prints of the fish that you catch. You can actually put them in housing now.
Yeah.
So small like quality of life update.
Yeah, it's nice. It's the little things.
Yeah, it's nice. So, in speaking of raid, which we were just talking about, the next thing he showed off were the gear sets from this tier of Eden, and they're looking pretty good, I'd say.
I don't care for the caster sets, but everything else was okay. So there's a much better picture of them on the press site and on the 5.2 site, where it's literally the group shot of them all together.
Right.
The tank stuff looks great. I'm trying to determine, based on the weapons, if we can kind of figure out who the last boss is. I think they're just Eden themed again, but they're just like a different Eden theme. Oh, because they were like kind of glowing, and I'm like, is that ice? I was like, I'm reaching for it. I'm like,
did you try to correlate it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm wishing this into existence, but you know, it's like, it was just glowing a little bit. I was like, is that ice? Ice? No, it's all Eden themed. It's all light themed, I suppose. Realistically, the thing I was most excited about was the machinist crossbow. I was instantly like, well,
yeah,
I want that. I want that a lot, actually, like a shit ton. The rest is, you know, take it or leave it. I like the tank gear. I like the ranged gear. I don't really care for the white mage or the healer or the caster gear. This doesn't excite me. I was more excited for the winner of the ranged
the design contest.
Yeah, the design contest for ranged DPS, because that's going to be the theme of the crafted gear, and I think that stuff looks pretty good.
Oh yeah,
I'm a fan. I like the winner.
Yeah,
I like the winner. I'm always I never look at the winners of those contests when they actually get announced. I just wait till I see them in a live letter. I'm like, ooh, that looks cool, and everyone's like, yeah, I've seen it, and I'm like, but listen,
I haven't seen it. Yeah,
I haven't seen it. Okay.
Don't kill my vibe. Just don't kill my vibe.
Can never kill my vibe unless I've been up since 2 a.m, in which case you're well on your way.
Yeah.
They talked about Ishgard again. We kind of talked about this earlier. They showed off a sheet mount, a Dalmel mount. The Dalmel mount they specifically said was from Ishgard. They showed off the Kupo of Fortune thing we mentioned earlier. And then they showed off the Eat Bread and the firework animation.
The prism.
Yeah, the prism. Yeah. Prism. I just call them all fireworks. They're all fireworks to me. I don't really give a shit. I use them and something cool happens.
And then they showed off new, I think a new glam.
Yeah, it's like it's Chocobucks barista.
Yeah.
Which, well, she's got a chocobo on her apron. People were like, "Oh, it could be a Moogle Bucks or Mog Bucks." I'm like, "No, there's a chocobo. It's Chocobucks."
No, it's Shardbucks.
It's Charbuck. No, that's what Arbok says in Pokemon. It goes, Charbuck.
Shardbucks.
No. Are you saying Shard?
Shardbucks, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm still gonna go with Chocobucks, but just because of the Chocobo on the thing. Next up was Sky Steel Tools. These are the crafting and gathering relics. And I was kind of relieved to see these aren't script grinds. These are straight up make or gather items, and your weapon will be, or your tool will be empowered. It's a straight up grind, which realistically, what else are relics? Oh, I guess that we have to question that a little bit after this.
Now, they did say that stats won't be better than a fully melded crafter tool yet.
That's exactly the same as with the raid stuff, where it's not as good as the raid stuff yet.
Right. Yet.
Yeah. But this is something even I think I brought it up maybe a show or two ago, but I did the original I think they were called Luminous items. That basically you needed to gather like 33,333 items to get the A Realm Reborn special weapons. They weren't any better than the other stuff, but I've done me some gathering grinds before. I don't mind this at all.
You don't mind it?
Because I'm not a hardcore crafter gatherer anyway, so I don't need the fully melded tool. I'm never going to do the stuff that needs that. So I'll just do this. Except for fishing. Unless I can do it on the boat. Because if I can't do it on the boat, I'm not fucking doing it. So, yeah, this is just something for anyone who doesn't want to be a full pentamelder. It's another option. It's a grinded out weapon like the Relic. Simple.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
It does have a story. Apparently these are like legendary tools of legend that will help restore Ishgard.
I'm just there for the grind.
I'm there for the frying pan with the dragon on it. I mean,
yeah, that does look pretty.
It's pretty neat. I really like, especially the saw, the carpenter saw.
That saw looks amazing.
I would take that saw into battle. I mean, it is a saw, so I guess I'd take any saw into battle, most likely, as long as it's not too floppy. Giggity.
And then, now we get into the actual battle room.
They're going all out with relics this expansion, aren't they?
Yeah. Save the Queen, Blades of Brynhildr. So, this is where we're getting our trial. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm hyped.
They said it. They said the new trial is about extreme difficulty and is part of this quest. Now, I've heard whispers of them saying there was a non-extreme version of it for the initial. I don't know if there. I don't think that's true. I haven't seen anything else that suggests. I've seen maybe one or two people say that. But I mean, I also wouldn't be surprised because relics have moved away from the A Realm Reborn style, where you actually have to do content, I suppose. That is more than just roll your face against it for 10 hours a day. But this looks to be emulating the initial A Realm Reborn base weapon relic quest line.
Right.
The 5.251 will literally be a quest series you complete from A to Z, and at the end you get the weapon. And then you want to do another one, do it again. Just simple as that. It's very story driven. We get a lot of teasers for it in the live letter itself. And I am very okay with this as the initial approach for the weapon. It does mean it'll be a little less grindy, but it does mean I can very easily make more than one. Again,
like, even though this is easier to all y'all do, like, every single weapon, stop it. Get some help. Like, seriously. Fuck's wrong with you? Got too much time. But, going back to the trial itself, are we fighting Gabranth?
I don't think yet. Not yet. I think he's the end goal of all of this. I think our BA is probably going to be, like, his actual encampment. And the question is it Arcadia? Because in the trailer, we see something that looks akin to Final Fantasy XII's Arcadia, but a little bit destroyed. I don't know if that's because of an incursion or, maybe the Bajans, breaking in to try to steal some of the tech, or if it's an annexed city-state like Rabanastre. It also may not be Arcadia, it just most reminds me of Arcadia. But I think that BA is likely going to be where we encounter Gabronth at the end of it all.
So you don't think Tartarus plays a role?
Oh, Tartarus 100% plays a role. Did you see what happened to Bastia in the trailer? That shit is fucked. Now, we know that's from Project Meteor, but there's no doubt more shenanigans going on there, because they specifically, you need to complete the Return to Ivalice quest series. Tartarus is a part of this, without a doubt.
Side note, remember that conversation we had like maybe not a week or 2 weeks ago about getting players back into 24-man and people not doing it? Yeah, remember that fucking conversation? Yeah, they took care of that issue. Hey, everybody who didn't do Return to Ivalice, Thunder God Sid's waiting on you. He's waiting like a parent waiting on this kid to come home with a bad report card. Tell me,
he'll spank you. He'll spank all 24 of you. He'll spank you and your entire class.
Yeah, get ready to deal with people. Have fun with that.
My favorite thing, though, is because it's a direct continuation to the Return to Ivalice raid series, they brought Matsuno back in.
Yes.
To continue writing the story. That's Tactics and the Evolution universe. That's his baby. They're letting him be the one in charge of it again. And I am 100% okay with that decision. Because who else? Why would I entrust that to anyone else?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hell no. I'm glad to read all the things they said about this quest series after what was and then initially presented. So we will not have exploration content in 5.25. For me, that's fine, because Onimos, they said that they didn't have everything ready for Onimos and Pagos when they did it initially. I think this is the result of that. They can now push the first. Well, we can't say push back, because there was never a promise of exploration content in 5.25. We made that assumption because the relic was on the way. They've instead gone within a Realm Reborn route, and the exploration content is in 5.35, and is not, I guess, all the way tied to the relic. The stories are tied, but they're not like you have to do both simultaneously.
This time it's a little more split. Please don't think of this as another Eureka. It's influenced by it, but it will be different.
That's what they said about Eureka in reference to Diadem, as a reminder. They said this is not another Diadem, but we have taken, aspects from it.
Inspiration.
Yeah. So this is very much the same, just keep thinking along the idea of a zone, a field instance where the rules aren't quite the same. That's probably the easiest way to the umbrella, to no pun intended with what's coming up, to put this kind of content under, what exploration content falls under. So in 5.35, we'll have the more traditional relic grind, but we have this is as old school in terms of a Realm Reborn, even 1.0 as it gets, because the 1.0 quest was very similar to this, with a little bit more bullshit wrapped up in between. I would highly advise doing the Gunbreaker quests if you have not yet. They do dig into the backstory of what's kind of pushing this, especially the level 81, which has a quick but important revelation that kind of leads into all that happens here. And they've already said they're working on another Baldesion Arsenal. They're calling it codename BA2 in the dev team. And they're like, we're going to take the things people liked and do away with the things people didn't like. And I couldn't have asked for literally anything. This sounds literally like they're just taking all the things people didn't complain about in the old Relic quests and are just trying to, perfect them, in a sense.
Yeah.
This looks like the ultimate consolidation of feedback over 6 years. And I hope it turns out that way.
I'm optimistic.
I am too. This is the only time they've revealed a Relic quest, and I haven't just been like,
rolled your eyes, yeah.
Great. Fucking great. Can't wait to do fucking 600 Alexanders again, huh? Can't wait to stand outside and fucking wait for a fate for 4 fucking hours just to step up to get a cookie and to get silver on it when I sat back down. Sure do love doing ARF hundreds of times, and Brayflox hundreds of times, and dragons and Pagos. I never had these complaints about the Realm Reborn one. The Realm Reborn one, I was like, oh, okay, you know, do this. Oh, it's kind of annoying to go to the area and kill the mobs. Oh, boo-hoo, kill 10 mobs in 3 different places. What a fucking, yeah. No. They're off to a good start. They're off to a good start in my book for this one. That's how I feel. I'm going to get a lot of relics this time around. Why did you put the stop it meme in the notes?
For everybody who gets all those fucking relics.
He put it in our notes. Only him and I can see the notes. And he put a meme in the notes to say stop it.
Can help.
It's not, the message isn't for me though. Why did you include, you went out of your way to put this in here.
You said you would get multiple relics, right?
I do 2 every expansion. I do the first Realm Reborn. I did Bard and Ninja. Heavensward I did Monk and Ninja, I think. And Eureka I did White Mage and Monk. It's 2.
You're thinking about doing more, aren't you?
If it's like the Realm Reborn ones, I did all of them because it was like fucking 6 hours to do. It wasn't even 6. It was like 3 or 4 hours to do all like one whole fucking relic. If it's like that again, I'll fucking do them all. I don't give a shit. At least to get the base weapon. This shit's easy as fuck. I get to do an extreme trial fucking 17 times, whatever it is. I'm okay with that. I got no problem with that. Now, the 5.35 step may not continue a lot of those weapons.
Okay. That's what I was wanting to know.
But the initial step, why not? Just no fates, please. Just no fates. Oh, man. I'm really looking forward to this one. And then they showed off umbrellas. Again, the pun was not intended, but they are adding umbrellas. They're literally just like, you hold an umbrella. And they went really ham on this. This is like one of those features where it's like I get that you want to add these things like as a role-playing element, but you're treating it really seriously, and I don't know how to feel about it. Because they're not just adding umbrellas, Sly. They're coded like mounts, although they can be used in city-states, unlike mounts. They're going to get their own menu equivalent to the mount menu. They're going to be adding them to all sorts of content. Like, imagine going into Ultimate and getting an umbrella. Where's my fucking Cruise Chaser umbrella? Huh? Where's my brute umbrella? Where's my perfect umbrella? Where's my Ultima umbrella? Where's my Zervan umbrella? I still don't have Zervan weapons. Can I get a Zervan umbrella? Seasonal events, umbrellas. Yokai Watch, maybe an umbrella. Maybe because we already have the 2 mounts from the Yokai Watch. What if you get the 4 new weapons, you get the Yokai umbrella? See? Think of all this content they've just made. Umbrellas from maps, umbrellas from primals, umbrellas from dungeons, crafted umbrellas, deep dungeon umbrellas, ultimate umbrellas, blue mage umbrellas.
Stop. You're going too far. You're going too far.
Think of all the content.
Don't give them all the content at once.
Think of all the leap of faith.
We need to spread this shit out.
Leap of faith umbrellas.
Okay.
Maybe they can make it slow your fall so you can make the jump, Sly.
Yeah, so after umbrellas,
Lords of Verminion umbrellas, fishing umbrellas, Fate Stone reward umbrellas, Beast Tribe umbrellas. Every place there's a mount, we can have an umbrella now. PvP umbrellas. Umbrella guns.
You good? You good?
Sightseeing log umbrellas.
So fun.
Umbrella stand furnishings. Umbrella striking dummies. The Mog Station umbrellas. 2 people umbrellas on the Mog Station. Veteran reward umbrellas. Achievement reward umbrellas now.
Chad, I hope you know you're fucking feeding him. Stop.
Keep
God.
it going.
No.
Come on.
No, Chad.
Umbrella minions. I mean, there's Raccoon City. Oh yeah, where's our Relic Umbrella quest line?
Chad, stop.
I said
Please.
Blue Mage Umbrella already. Dude, when we go to FanFest, it used to come with minions. Now it comes with umbrellas. Now you've gone too far, Goku.
Yeah.
Now you've gone too far.
Lastly, this was mentioned before, I think in the earlier live letter, but spirit bonding and retaining materia. You won't be converting gear into materia. You retain the gear, it'll just reset the spirit bond, and you keep the item. Gaming materia will be adjusted in
be cheaper.
Their words. Be cheaper.
Thanks for
In their words.
my income again, Yoshi P. Thank you.
In their words, I don't want to say this too loud, but if you're hoarding them, please sell.
He even said later, after he said that later, he just straight up said, we're lowering the price. He's just like, why were you coy about it the first time? Just fucking say it, all right? Job quest umbrellas, good call. Chocobo race umbrellas, security token umbrellas. Who needs a free teleport location? Just give me an umbrella. There you go. Every week, I'm just going to be on the lookout for umbrellas. They said they considered making an umbrella job at one point. In the live letter is the funny thing. They said that. They were probably kidding, but they said it. It's too good. Grand Company umbrellas. Hunt umbrellas. It just keeps going.
Good.
Man.
Good.
Am I?
I don't know. Are you?
I don't know if I am. Near umbrellas. Evil East umbrellas.
Okay. Stop it.
Eggy Glamour umbrellas. I need some umbrellas, man.
Moving right along. That was pretty much it for, the 5.2 content and everything. And then we get one final teaser trailer. Not even a fucking teaser.
No, it was straight up a teaser trailer. That's what it was.
No, it's not a teaser when you go ahead and say straight up dates and where.
Yeah, but it's still teasing me because now I have to wait.
FanFest dates have been announced.
And locations.
North America and locations. North America still retaining that first spot. We will never be middle or last. November 6th and 7th, 2020.
No, it's the year 72,020. That's what the slide says. November 72,020. I don't know why I can't say it.
So FanFest is going on pretty much eternal.
Yes. We'll be there for a while.
But, yeah. San Diego.
Thank Christ. As much as I predicted Anaheim and it would have been okay, I'm okay with any reason to go to San Diego. I lived in San Diego. I love San Diego. It's so much more chill to be at. It's a good venue. Thank you. Thank you for putting it in San Diego.
Followed by Japan on December 19th and 20th in Nagoya at Aichi Sky Expo. Always second. And finally, Europe. London. Excel London, February 20th and 21st.
I would like to remind everyone, London may be not part of EU, but it is still part of the continent known as Europe. Everyone's like, that's not EU Fan Fest. And I'm like, it's the European Fan Fest. It doesn't say that it's EU. It says it's Europe.
Yeah.
They haven't left the continent. They've only left the Union. All right.
Notes about San Diego should fit approximately twice the amount of people as the last Fan Fest.
If I recall, last Fan Fest was 7,000 or 8,000. Now, keep in mind, they're not renting all of the halls, because all of the halls fits like 50,000 people. They'll probably rent
keep
like
in
2 or
mind,
3
like,
halls.
Keep in mind, a month before that is TwitchCon, because TwitchCon is staying in San Diego.
Yes.
And that pretty much takes up the entire convention.
I don't even think TwitchCon takes the whole San Diego. I think the only thing that uses that whole thing is San Diego Comic-Con. I think. I'd have to go and look again, but I don't think TwitchCon uses all of the halls. I'm pretty sure only San Diego Comic-Con uses all of the halls. Maybe there's some other ones we don't know about, but at least in the gaming world, that's the biggest event that goes down there. I'm so happy it's in San Diego. But keep in mind, around November, I lived there for a while, so around November, I know it's like really far south, but it sometimes rains, so bring your umbrella. That was a joke, Sly. It doesn't actually rain. I just wanted to say umbrella again.
Yeah, I'm just moving right past.
All right.
In regards to Japan's Fan Fest, they wanted to do it in Tokyo, but with the Olympics, the availability of venues, they had to move it from Tokyo. So
I'll say this. As someone who has been to the Japanese Fan Fest in the location they had it for the first however many years, they used the same location as Tokyo Game Show. That is like an hour and a half to 2 hours outside of the airport, the nearest airport, regardless of which one you fly into. If I'm not mistaken, there is an international airport in Nagoya, and it is much closer to the venue hall. So for anyone who's traveling from out of country, this should actually be, I don't know if it'll be, they say it actually has a higher capacity too. It's like a 1.5 times capacity from what they were using over at the previous location. But even the travel from outside the country should be easier this time around. I don't know how much available transit there is, but Japan's great with transit. So I'd imagine it's as good as it is, elsewhere.
Tickets going on sale at a later date, and they will announce that in the coming weeks, I would assume, in another live letter.
Yeah, I'd assume so. It looks like they're not as spread out as last time either. I think the Japan one was in March last time when I went over there, so it was like end of December, and then we had to wait all the way till March. This is kind of like an 8-week-ish time between the second one and the third one. It's still only it's about 7 weeks between the first and the second, 8 weeks between the second and the third. So it's actually a pretty good flow of information this time. Feels a little bit more consistent. And I'm a fan. I like when we have a consistent flow of information.
Good for the show.
Yeah, it sure is.
We'll have shows.
Yeah. Oh, we've got plenty of shows planned. Don't you worry about that.
Last but not least, patch note reading on the 18th. Usual. We already know. And a few other stuff about PAX East, some announcing the art book, a
vote on favorite Final Fantasy features, which we won't be involved in because it's not stateside. Most of this stuff is not stateside. It's a hotel, the Royal Park.
Doing an Ilmeg theme room.
Do you think that it just plays the Titania theme the whole time you're in there? And you can't turn it off?
That would be hell. That would be hell.
You just walk in and that's all you hear is the Titania theme, and there's no way to turn it off. Ever you go to sleep, it's all you hear. It's just... That's not a hotel. That's an escape room. They close the door and they're like, "Can you make it out?" Hey, you know what? Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Once you get out, the music turns off and then you can sleep.
And then, of course, the Primals concert in April.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days after Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, it's a concert. It's not like that's a conflict, but you know, I can't. Everything that happens around April 10th to me doesn't exist, and you need to be at least like 7 days out.
Are you just in this vacuum where only 7 Remake exists in that time frame?
Yes, between the day after RE3 Remake comes out and the 17th of April, nothing else exists. Just that. And that's where they wrapped everything up, was with that last announcement of that Primals concert. And I'm really jealous because, again, we've only heard Insatiable at this point, and this is a Shadowbringers themed Primals concert. So this will probably be the first taste that anyone gets of what the Primals Shadowbringers lineup sounds like. You know, whether it be Innocence or Titania. The Primals rendition of Titania is a frightening endeavor indeed. Just go heavy metal with just go like that. Just go full like heavy metal with it. I'm okay with that. There were some other things. They did update the 5.2 site. It's realistically, it just shows us the only thing that's really that new there. They added some renders of the Primals, a render of Ruby Weapon, but they added a picture of the Bajin and a little description of the Relic quest line. And we saw our good old buddy Geralt. Of course we're making weapons. He has to be involved. Which means Rowan is probably involved. So, it's been nice knowing you guys, but Rowena's about to have our balls by the grip for the next 1.5 years again.
As always.
As always. And she always has Geralt's balls on a grip. He ain't never going to be free. That's the truth. She's brutal. And I think that was all they really added to that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, I think that's it.
Nope. That's pretty much it.
And with that, Sly, I have been awake since 2 in the morning. And it is almost...
Go the fuck to sleep.
I'm hungry. I gotta eat. I gotta eat. Daddy's gotta put some food in his belly. As far as I'm concerned. And I got some other things I have to tend to as well. There's a Dissidia event, and Dissidia Opera Omni event in 15 minutes that I have to wipe off the face of the earth. So, but man, this was so. It feels so good. Sly, we have so many shows finally lined up. We will not have a lull in shows for quite some time at this point.
Yes, there will be quite a bit of Friday shows.
Yes, the next several weeks will be Friday shows. So for anyone who is wondering, we can promise you the following. Next Friday will be a preliminary patch note show. The following Friday will be first impressions of 5.2. The following Tuesday or Friday, depending on availability, will be our spoiler cast. The following one after that will be a raid show. The following one after that will be Air Zivia. Ishgard will be coming out about that time, but there will be job balance. There's likely to be a job balance show somewhere in that vicinity. Then probably a crafting and gathering show. And then that's as far ahead as we've thought. And then we'll do an umbrella show.
So yeah, that's Stay of the Realm, everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for watching. If you're on YouTube or any podcast platforms, thank you so much for listening, I guess.
Yes.
Sorry about all the umbrella.
I thought you were going to apologize for the number of shows we haven't done, and now you're apologizing for something that doesn't need apology. There's 2 things that don't need apologizing, Sly, and you've apologized for both. Jump puzzles and umbrellas. The 2 things that we need the least. But there is one thing that we still do need to talk about. We thank sponsors at the start of the show. Of course, we thank SteelSeries, who helps with the giveaways every month. That's been my sponsor and the show sponsor for quite some time now, and they're awesome. We also, of course, have our patrons. Their names have been scrolling in the top right. We've actually had quite a few new patrons come in over the last week or so. I don't know why, because we haven't been doing shows. I've barely been doing anything on YouTube, but they did it anyway. So you guys are awesome. So thank you for joining that. And, of course, we have our patrons of darkness who do not provide me with new images because they're busy, but they support the show, and we thank them all the same. It's Khuja Cross from Jenova and Kurenai Oni. Oh, Sly, by the way, did I remember to do it? I don't think I did. I 100% found
Oh, shucks. No.
Did I remember to load it? No, I didn't, but I know where to find it. Did I? I finally found it, Sly.
Oh no!
There we go. There's the one that Sly doesn't like because he wasn't, you know, looking. I guess when he doesn't even look bad in the screenshot, but he hates it. Hates the screenshot. Don't worry. I hope they both provide umbrella screenshots. I hope we get an umbrella screenshot with you. Okay, guys, I have a request for the next when umbrellas come out. I need all of you on Primal to find him and take screenshot, like just mob him with umbrellas. I hope you can, if you can use umbrellas indoors, which you probably can't because it's bad luck. In the club, when he's like chilling in the club, just like walk up and just, you know, prevent anyone from raining on his parade. Yeah, I'll be on Primal for raiding, but I'm not going to play that character outside of raids, probably. Just keep that character geared and then, you know, go back to playing on my Gilgamesh character. I'll keep his tombstones capped, and then I'll play on Gilgamesh. And I have to clear the raids on Gilgamesh, too. But I will be raiding on Primal.
Hey.
I will be raiding with Tate and Pharaoh and Ignis and Zareth, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time.
It's going to be hilarious, and comms will be enabled on that stream.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of content.
6 of us are streaming, so it's like there's no point in hiding comms at that point.
There's going to be a lot of content coming out of it.
There sure is.
Please look forward to the videos on the YubTubs, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. All right, with that though, Sly, we've thanked our sponsors, we've thanked the umbrellas, and now we have to tell everyone where they can find us at. Sly, where can they find you at? What are you up to? What's on the docket? Hit me.
You can find me at twitch.tv/Slyakagreyfox, Twitter at Slythefox, Facebook Slyakagreyfox, youtube.com/development room. Just generally playing a lot of shit, a lot of JRPGs. I also do Station WSLY on Saturdays, which is a city pop radio station, legally licensed, on Saturday nights after Shin Megami Tensei Saturdays. So if you need some chill music to listen to on a Saturday night, you know where to find it. And Happy, where can they find you?
You could find me, Mr. Happy1227, at Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and occasionally, but very rarely, Instagram. And it's been a hell of a week, man. Something I can say what Sly and myself separately, because we had some shared obligations this week. We are up to some fun stuff that at some point we'll get to talk more about, but we will not be talking more about now. We got to go to a Persona 5 Royal event. We got to tweet pictures. There's some pictures on Twitter of us, you know, stealing the treasure and the palace that they built. And we got to meet and talk to some of the VAs and some fellow people who stream or do YouTube. And, you know, may have, you know, done a little more than that, but we won't talk about that just yet. And then I went to an event the next day. Apparently Ms. was at the event I went to, but she was in a later time slot. It was for a game called Outriders, and there's some top secret information on this hard drive that you'll learn.
Encrypted.
Yes, this is very securely encrypted. I'm not even sure how to actually get into it. I kind of need to maybe figure that out, because I need to be able to get into it. But there's going to be some fun stuff on that. We've obviously got 5.2 coming around. We've got March is going to be Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. There's going to be Animal Crossing. There's going to be Doom. I'm probably just going to take the Animal Crossing route because it's on the same day. Yeah. So there's a crazy amount of things that are coming up. I'm replaying the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. I'm back on my mobile game kick a little bit, so I'm looking forward to that. There's still Temtem, shiny hunting. I'm all over the place, man. We got a lot on our table, and I'm really excited for the beginning of this year. So that's what I'm up to. That's what Sly and I have been up to. And we're looking forward to continuing to share these moments with all of you. So with that, we'll move on into a short post show, and then I will go eat and then probably sleep. That is my plan. And get this posted to YouTube and all the podcasting things, iTunes, Android, all that stuff. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We will see you next week. I can say that with confidence. We shall.
On Friday.
On Friday. 8 days from now. 7 days for you on YouTube, but it'll be next Saturday for you on YouTube, so still technically 8 days. So we will see you then. Thanks for watching. And until next week, take care.
See you next week.